on Jasmuheen's Breatharian pathways, memories, and motivations. We start with realizations and reweaving. Realizations and reweaving. Timelines, 2006 to 2011. In early 2006, Mother Mary, as one of my inner plane guides, manifested once more in my meditations and made the very clear telepathic statement, "It is time for you to connect more deeply with the indigenous people of our world." To this, I could only reply, "Fine, then set it up." Imagine telling that to your spirit guides. "Fine, set it up. Let's get going." As usual, it happened without effort or fuss. And in late 2006, I found myself in the heart of the Amazon jungles, involved in an experience that proved to me the effectiveness of the etheric feeding devices that I had personally been applying and sharing about over the previous years. After dancing in a sacred ritual for nearly 8 hours without a break, and unable to obtain any water to quench an enormous thirst, I asked my body to hydrate itself, which to my surprise, it immediately did. Within moments, my whole inner being was flooded with the most deliciously hydrating cosmic fluid, which flowed through every cell of my body like an inner shower, coming through my crown chakra to relieve the most intense thirst that I have ever experienced. I was not surprised that this device worked, just how quickly results were delivered. This jungle time experience left me feeling elated, but later it also left me feeling a little unsettled. Although I was completely convinced about how well these etheric feeding devices can work when they are really required, unexpectedly, the experience also left me with a knowing that I no longer had to do this, only taking pure prana paradigm anymore. Somehow, all of my work with this felt complete. And so, by early 2007, I soon found myself asking some very challenging questions. These questions were like, did I really want to continue with the very rare, extremely small consumption of physical food, where I just had the odd mouthful of flavor once a month or so? And also, now that my grandchildren were all being born, did I want to return to a less extreme style of life? What was there left to prove to myself about this? Was I really now complete with this research project and my personal experimentation? And if so, then what? Could my body even return to taking a little more physical food again? What would the physical repercussions be, if any? Was I now doing the prana-only feeding paradigm only due to habit? Also, was my service assignment also now complete with this? During 2006, I had also finalized writing and publishing the Prana Program Manual with its third world feeding program. So I began to reason that maybe my work with this was now all done. This post-jungle retrospection time was very beneficial for me, as it allowed me to look at just what we have achieved since 1993. Yet, when something is done, it is done, and a new phase will begin. From spending time among my new shaman friends, then and since, I also began to realize just how ungrounded I was. For among them, I felt like an etheric fairy being, wispy and barely present in Earth's realm. As I later left this jungle space, I also slowly began to feel quite disconnected from Gaia herself, and as if I was a cosmic wanderer, an interdimensional gatekeeper, whose time had now come to once again rejoin with the spirit of our Earth, so that I could serve her more fully. Working with our indigenous people over these last 5 years has shown me so clearly that it is Gaia's time now, and that we need to be tuned to what she needs, as she continues to reveal herself to be more of a cosmic being again. Gaia's grid position in the matrix of creation is changing, which is affecting all upon her. Still, pranic nourishment frees us from the need to consume so much of our world's food resources, which in itself is a wonderful gift that we can give our Mother Earth. It is also a great skill to possess when faced with any type of food shortage crisis that can come with natural disasters. Now, I just want to point out something here that Miss Jasmuheen said here. And I almost skipped over this, but I seen this word. I'm keenly observant right now. And she said that pranic nourishment frees us from the need to consume, and it is also a great skill to possess when faced with any type of food shortage crisis that can come with natural disasters. She called it a skill. Now, what else could you call a skill, right? You could call somebody who's a great poker player. You could say that they're skilled, right? They got skill. Oh, you got skills. You could call somebody who's a great chess player. Oh, you got some skills there, right? They had to work at that. They had to put some time in. They had to get some skin in the game. Somebody who's a great saxophonist, a great flutist, a great violinist. Were they born with that talent? Or was that a skill that they acquired through practice and discipline? So if she's saying pranic nourishment that frees us from the need to consume can also be a great skill to possess, then why are we so hard on ourselves when it comes to this? Why don't we practice at this like a skill? Like something that you could develop through time and effort, through consistency and persistency and patience, kindness to yourself, compassion with yourself as you continue to build the skill. Just food for thought. At the end of 2006, visions of my shaman self in other timelines began to come back into my conscious awareness, to bond me more deeply with my new indigenous friends, and I realized that a new assignment had begun. When a service agenda comes to completion, the flow of grace supporting this also moves on, as if beckoning us to follow, ready to support us with our next service agenda. Throughout my life, this flow of grace has always been my confirmation that I am in alignment with a higher cause. Changing times. 2007. My jungle experiences, plus years of being public with living on prana and all that had occurred, especially with the media, had slowly taken their toll and left me longing for that old familiar Buddhist-style middle way. I have had a few Buddhist monk-style incarnations, which I have found to be extremely peaceful, and so my love for the Buddhist path and the Christed way of love is great. In early 2007, in deep meditation in our darkroom retreat in Thailand, I unexpectedly found myself again in the presence of the Buddha, a vast cosmic being who is one of my favorite inner plane masters. During our telepathic energy exchange, I shared from my deepest heart that all I now wanted was to follow the middle way. Yet, the Buddha looked at me with so much love, shook his head, and so very clearly said, "No, the middle way is my way, not your way, not this time." My heart felt heavy at this news, but my curiosity was also piqued as the Buddha added gently, "Your way this life is to walk the path of the angels." After this exchange, I realized that I had no idea what the path of the angels was. And so, with a sincere heart, I said to the universal field of infinite love and intelligence, or UFI for short, "Please teach me the path of the angels." As we know, when we ask with a sincere heart, we receive, especially if what we are asking for is beneficial for human evolution. Nearly 6 months later, on the 777 portal, we were guided to create the Embassy of Peace, which would later act as an umbrella for all of our research into personal, global, and universal harmonics, for our work has never been just about the prana as food game. And again, it felt as if another project was complete as I began to feel the presence of the angels so strongly in my life, and all that we downloaded from the universal flows slowly began to come in as poetry and music. In 2007, I also realized that it was important for me to again tune more into my own family dynamics. In this life, unlike in many others, I am not a solo yogini. Before coming into physical embodiment this life, I elected to do it all, to be true to my yogini nature and fulfill my pre-agreed service agenda, and to also enjoy family life, to have a loving husband, children, and even grandchildren, and all that this involves. For me, while being a yogini has been natural and easy, understanding family harmonics has sometimes been a challenge that has also given great gifts. In mid-2007, certain situations unfolded that made me realize that there were members in my family that now required more of my attention if family harmony was to be maintained. Although my family have been so supportive of all that I do, I have spent sometimes more than half of every year since 1995 living in hotel rooms and traveling with my service. While my family had managed well without me, it was not their preference to do so. And when one of my daughters continued to go through a very challenging period, I realized it was time for me to reconnect with her on a deeper level, or else I would lose her entirely. And so again, with a sincere open heart, I found myself asking the UFI to please teach me the perfect formula of family harmonics. What do I need to learn? What adjustments do I need to make to enjoy the most mutually enhancing energy exchanges with all of my family members? Over the next few years, I found that it was important to not just dive back into the family energy pool and be more present in everyone's lives, but to allow my family to nourish me in ways that they enjoyed. I also felt that it was important to do with them the things that they liked doing, one of which was the sharing of physical food. Now, every second Sunday, our family gathered to sit and break bread, so to speak. And during this time, all talk freely as we enjoy each other again. Each again other this way. For me to say yes to it all has been strangely bonding and healing for my daughter. After so many years of not taking physical food with my family, it is interesting to note how happy they are to share with me this way. And so, while the pranic flows will always nourish me, when I am not traveling and demonstrating this ability, from time to time, I now choose to enjoy the sharing of a little food with my family. A few carrots, or an apple, or some mango is more than enough for me these days, and much more than I have had for a long, long time. Still, for the first time in a long time in this life, I can now happily savor flavor. I can also see and acknowledge the joy on my loved ones' faces when they serve up food that they have bought and prepared with love. For me, it is all about love. It is also a time of combining my natural yogini inclinations with experiencing true harmony among those I love, those who have been with me so often throughout these timelines, sharing my joys and sorrows along the way. And so far, the journey has proved enlightening. Like so many, I have also understood on much deeper levels that feeding each other lovingly is not just about physical food. It is also about our personal energy emanations and how we affect each other, and also how our energy emanations in turn affect the planetary energy field. Also, we have moved into energy times where we need to be fluid and flexible. Rigidity, denial, and strict discipline are not the frequencies for us right now. My time of being the true breatharian, where I never eat or drink, will come later in this life. But right now, due to family matters and my current service focus, I find that I am no longer as absorbed by the prana as physical food reality as much as I was in those early years. And yet even now, I am still continuing to learn so much around this. After the 60 minutes experience, I have had to learn how to stabilize my weight regardless of what situation I was in. And yes, I have also had to learn to no longer absorb energy emanations from negative people or situations. I have also had to learn how to radiate that inner love and light out from my core instead, to nourish not just myself, but also others. Like the Qigong masters who exist in the Bigu state, I have also learned that the cities of our world are too dense for a pranic nourisher to maintain their balance if they are absorbing energy, and so now we promote the divine love radiation game to counterbalance this. Side effects and backwards research. After learning so much and spending so many years of my current life in the pranic nourishment research field, from 2006 to 2011, I found that my focus slowly moved on to the Pathways of Peace program and to family, community, and global harmonics, to time being spent with and learning from my indigenous friends. After making the decision to be more grounded and also to bind myself more deeply within Gaia, again, by taking a little more of her physical elements, I soon began to feel the confusion of my body asking, why? Why I was sporadically eating again when living directly from prana was so preferable to it. Also, my body had no idea what to do with any food I ingested, as it simply did not need it. While my stomach had shrunk and I could not eat much, what I did take on was stored as fat for my metabolism had slowed right down. I also noticed how my body had begun to reweave itself into a denser pattern again, as it dealt more with the digestive process. Even though I would eat over a month what some people would eat in a day, whatever I ate was just not required. With my 2006 jungle self watering experience, fully anchored my body. With my 2006 jungle self-watering experience fully anchored, my body no longer wanted fluids and felt radiant on just the smallest amounts of water. If I choose to ingest any more than this, the body would feel uncomfortable. As I experienced again so many things that people feel are normal, things that someone existing solely from prana may gradually become immune to. A breatharian can be incredibly sensitive to energy flows, and so for me, it was easy to feel the diversion of the life force as it began to break down physical food via the digestive process on those occasions that I chose to eat. Many people can live quite happily from prana, and then, for various reasons, decide to take a little food just for the pure pleasure. And I have met many who are now in a state of choice, where they can eat just for social pleasure, as they are free from the paradigm of eating for need. There is a big difference. Some, like myself, have also experienced a small amount of distress in their body if they do choose to eat, as their body clearly has no need of or interest in food. And I want to make a brief pause right here because I definitely feel like one of those people. The last time I had solids, which was over 2 years ago, I was in pain. So what she's talking about here, I've heard different people in the Pranic community talk about, hey, every now and then, you can have a little solid here, a little solid there. I don't know what it is with my body, but for me, it's been black and white. It's been night and day difference. Like if I try, or when I did try to take solids, it got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm done. Like, I don't know what happened. My stomach must have shrunk, gone dormant or whatever. But clearly my digestive system is working differently because it felt like there was a rock in my chest and I felt terrible, felt horrible, felt like I needed to call 911, like, do I need to check myself into the emergency room? What is going on? So for the people that say, yeah, I eat every now and then, I eat this, I eat that, for the pleasure, it's not even pleasurable anymore. At least right now. I'm speaking for my right now. For my right now, it's not even pleasurable. So when people ask me, hey, Jerome, when will you eat solids again? I'm like, I can't tell you. I can't call it. I just don't have any desire at the moment. So yeah, my heart goes out to people who are in the same situation as me, where they feel like, hey, there's not really a way back. I don't really see a way back. But I feel good right now, so not really longing for food like I used to be. But it's interesting to know that different strokes for different folks. Some people, I guess it just affects them differently. We mentioned earlier that sometimes we can learn even more in the not doing than in the doing experience. This is what I quickly discovered as I witnessed my body making adjustments to accommodate a slightly more regular intake of physical food. Also, until it began the reweaving of a new pattern of density again. I didn't realize that slowly and almost imperceptibly, during these initial years, my body had actually been reweaving itself into a very different energy pattern. Now, I definitely agree with that. I love this word reweaving. Reweaving. It definitely felt like that. It was like pre-2022 Jerome, and then pre-20, like, and post Jerome. It's like there was a reweaving for sure. Especially that gap of time when I did my first Pranic retreat with a lot of my friends, with some friends and Ellie Tom and Athena Starseed. My body was reweaving. So it's so hard to describe it, because it's like you can only trust your intuition, because there's nobody that has like a camera doing like a colonoscopy, or like, nobody's shoving a microscope down your throat to really see what's going on in your digestive tract, your digestive system, like looking at your organs, but you know that something has changed. Something remains, but it's not the same. You've gone through a change. You've discovered a range. And even the feeling feels a little bit strange, right? It's like, what has taken place here? How have I made space here? You've made even more room, and you're much more in tune, right? It's like your body has come into alignment, and now it has another assignment. So it's really hard to describe this, but I love the word reweaving itself. Definitely paints a picture that I feel is accurate. Very accurate. I had forgotten what this all felt like, for when I ate food prior to 1993, I had no idea what it was like not to eat, or how amazing the body can feel as it absorbs its energy directly from cosmic particle flows. But I do now. Now I finally have a yardstick of comparison, and therefore so much more to learn and report, yet it all feels like researching something backwards. By the middle of 2010, I could feel my immune system having to suddenly deal with parasites and other issues encountered from my years of travel. As throughout my time in the jungles in India and other third world countries, I have often been bitten by disease-carrying insects. None of this was a problem until the end of 2009, when I began to divert a little more energy back to the digestive process. Suddenly, I found myself having to do parasite cleansing programs and address genetic weaknesses that have not been an issue for so long. Now, this actually reminds me, when I was traveling Italy, and I had an excursion with a friend, a dear friend. Her name is Sarah. Much love, Sarah. Shout out to you if you're watching this. And there's no one like Sarah. I've never met anybody like this woman. She's what you call a woodlander, like a real woodlander. And she can live in the forest, like with no tent, no nothing. She can live in the woods. She's a lady of the woods. And this woman, Sarah, we were traveling together, and even the way that she drinks juice, I never seen anybody drink the way that she drink. Like, it was so primal. It was like seeing somebody holding a bottle and like for the first time in their lives. That's the way she would drink. It was like there was no etiquette, there was no, like manners, politeness, nothing, like no table manners, nothing. It was just primal. And I was traveling with Sarah in Italy. We met each other in Pisa. I met her off of the train in Pisa, the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And we took a picture there together. You can see it. And we were there together. And in Pisa, I remember, this was the time I was long fasting. And I remember we slept outside that night on the cobblestone. And I didn't even know we were going to sleep outside. It was just a surprise. We couldn't find any Airbnb or nothing around. And even though I had my tent, she was like, no, that's highly illegal. You can't pop that thing out here. I was like, really? I was like, no, we ain't gonna, rebel camping, no, nothing like that. She's like, nah, like, we gonna sleep right here on this bench in this courtyard. I was like, oh, okay, we doing it like that. So on this night with Sarah, there had to have been hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of mosquitoes, like zzz, buzzing all around us. And I mean, we were just rolling over and over and over, just like on the ground, on the benches, just trying to get a good position. And the mosquitoes were just attacking, just vampire, just sucking the blood. And at a certain point, I just surrendered. I just gave up. I literally gave up. I stopped swatting them. There was nothing I could do. So I just sat there in meditation. And I remember just cross-legged. I was just sitting there on the cobblestone, and I just let them bite me. I just whatever. And at first I had to use all my willpower, all my psychic energy, just all the mental faculties of my mind. I had used everything to just sit there. And they would attack my body. And then after 15 minutes, my body would be numb. My legs would be numb. My feet would be numb. Everything was like numbness. And I was like, okay. And then all of a sudden, it'd be 5 to 10 minutes of bliss. After they stopped swarming me, it would just peace. And then after that 10 minutes, they would come back. Zzz, attack! And then I would just sit there. I would wait. Peace, be still. Not moving. Surrender. Give up. And then 5 to 10 minutes. Peace. Now, I don't know what message you might get from that, but as Jasmuheen is talking about these insects that she was bitten by, that when she went back to solid food, it became an issue. But when she wasn't eating anything, it wasn't an issue. So that reminds me of that time in Pisa, Italy, where I was just getting bit up by insects, but the next day, we were good. No problems. Just walked right on to the next location. And we visited so many places. I went to Rome, I went to Milan, and then we left each other in Nice, France. That was the last time I seen her. And I bought her a train ticket to keep going, and then I went back over to Italy, to Salsa Maggiore, to visit my other friend. So that was definitely an experience, but I felt like I attributed that time to me being in the pranic frequency. I felt like definitely helped with the insects. Like, even though they were just biting and attacking, I still wasn't lacking, if that makes sense. None of this was a problem until the end of 2009, when I began to divert a little more energy back to the digestive process. Suddenly, I found myself having to do parasite cleansing programs and address genetic weaknesses that had not been an issue for so long. In addition to this, since 1993, I had no need to take vitamins or be concerned about getting the right nutritional mix. And this too has been so freeing. Yet, when a body diverts energy to digest food, it also then becomes reliant on the ingestion of specific nutritional mixes, as it thinks that since we are feeding it this way, that this is how its master wants to receive its nutrition. Now that is a very good point. It's like the body is almost confused. It's like, wait, what do you want to do? Do you want to you want to get the nourishment and nutrition from prana, from the chi, or from vitamin B, right? Are we getting it from the sun? Pick one, right? Pick one. Witnessing all of these things again in my own body was so interesting, as I had forgotten so much of my own human frailties, and reawakening to them again was a very interesting lesson. Thankfully, I have always felt so much divine support around me, especially when I began to be public with this journey, and for this, I feel blessed. So while my inner guidance was strong, calling me to gain a little more density again, the support I needed to deal with any physical fallout from answering this call soon came to help with a completely new reweaving process that I would like to also touch on here. All right, let's see here. Shall we keep going? Yeah, we can keep going. All right. Going beyond it all. Another important insight. During my biocybernetics reprogramming, I realized yet again that the body does what its inner living master expects of it, and that it also performs in direct accordance to our acknowledgement of and experience of our own mastery. If we continually expect to have problems in any area of life, then we will have problems. For the universe is always reflecting our own awareness and expectations back to us. It is impossible to deny fact that my body system performs much better when I live purely from prana. But to keep saying and acknowledging this can also create a problem for my new body whenever I do choose to take a small amount of food. I see now. I see what she's getting at now. If the master within keeps affirming that this can be a problem, then this becomes my body's dominant reality. And it will continue to struggle with this choice. We can all inhibit the expression of this divine force simply by choosing to identify too much with our personality self, with all of its human frailties, rather than focusing on the rising and the blossoming of our own divine nature and opening to its gifts. Knowing this, these days I have learned to simplify it all, and anytime I find myself doing a judgment of comparison, instead of continuing with any limiting thought, I program instead with great feeling that I am a healthy, radiant, divine being. I love my body and my body loves me. And with this, I relax and come back deeper into peace. Now I remember when I was walking, I would walk back and forth down the dormitory hallway of my Vipassana retreat. I did Vipassana in Lava Hot Springs, Idaho, with a few friends of mine, Sunrise, Celeste, and some other folks were there. Raj, yeah. We were there together doing a 10-day retreat, Vipassana. So we were meditating for 10 hours a day for 10 days. if you can imagine, sitting down in meditation for 10 hours a day, for 10 days straight. It's crazy. And during this time, of course, I had some Bengal spice tea and lemon water. It said fasting was prohibited, but I just removed the silverware, so they thought that I was eating. So that was not an issue. But you have to do a lot with your time because you don't have a lot to do with your time. So you have to get creative. So at these Vipassana retreats, there's no talking of any kind the whole 10 days. There's no writing the whole 10 days, no journaling, no TV, no telephone. They take your cell phone away. There's no technology, no entertainment, no nothing, no reading, no nothing. Just meditation, 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 relaxation, back to meditation. So I would walk these hallways and I was just breathing down the dormitory hallway. And I was saying in my mind, I benefit by being breatharian. I'm a powerful pranic being. My inner light grows and it shows. I love feeling light and unburdened by food. I find it easy to live on prana. I am sustained with all that I need. Sleeping less feels natural to me. I can go days without eating food. Pranic living feels easy for me. I'm nourished by other sources. Prana provides all my nutritional needs. I'm sustained directly from source. My health and my wealth are constantly increasing. The longer I fast, the longer I last. I choose to fast. I choose a life of longevity. I'm prepared to reap the many benefits of fasting. I'm achieving the goals I set for myself by fasting. I'm happy with my decision to fast. I'm achieving the goals I set for myself by fasting. Fasting helps me feel more connected with myself. I'm purging my body of toxins while fasting. I'm proud of the progress I make each day while fasting. Fasting, all these different quotes I was saying to myself. And it was nourishing and flourishing as I was walking back and down this hallway. Back and forth, back and forth. Saying these things to myself inside my mind. And I came to find it was easier and easier and easier to just have that little Bengal spice tea every day with that lemon water every night and to keep going throughout the 10 days with no problem. Now, if they had known, they probably would have tried to kick me out. But since I didn't have a ride, I had to sneak and just, take a little sip here, maybe stir a little something or act like I was doing something. But just saying those affirmations and seeing the confirmation, what you affirm, you will see confirmed in your reality. It doesn't matter what it is. I remember I had a meeting with a multimillionaire. This guy, he's on YouTube. His name's Justin Perry. If you ever see him, You Are Creators. I had a meeting with him. And during our talk, he said, Jerome, let me tell you something. All held thoughts must manifest. He didn't say a few held thoughts will come to pass. He didn't say that every now and then a held thought will come to pass. He said all held thoughts must manifest. He said, this has been my experience. He said, Jerome, this is my life. He said, my house, my estate, my property, my homes, my investments, my bank account, all of it came from affirmations. The recitation of information from my mouth. He said, Jerome, as God is my witness, you are co-creating your reality with the universe. He said, Jerome, be delusional. He said, if I can give you any advice, be delusional. Be absolutely delusional in this game of life. Don't listen to the naysayers. Don't listen to these people, the criticism. Don't listen to the judgment. Don't listen. Whatever you want to do in this reality, you make sure you keep that dream alive. And whatever you hold in your mind, if you hold it long enough and strong enough, it has to happen. He said it has to. He said, Jerome, this is law. This is not, this is law. I said, hey, who am I, right? Who am I? So as Jasmuheen is saying this right here, I am a healthy, radiant, divine being. I love my body and my body loves me. And with this, I relax and come back deeper into peace. These words, it's like you're speaking a healing over your body, right? And it can be so revealing over your body with so much feeling over your body. When you speak these loving words of kindness and compassion over yourself, not for anyone else, but just for yourself. See what it does for your health. Whether I'm traveling and demonstrating this ability and sharing of our research in this field, or whether I am home with my family, taking a small quantity of food from time to time, just for the pleasure of this new family harmonic, it doesn't matter. For the intention of the Master I Am is that I am a healthy, radiant divine being regardless. Holding this clear intention also keeps life simple. My true joy with the Pranic living journey has always been about living a life filled with grace. There has also been great joy in having the freedom of choice. Oh, I like that. I like that. As to where we wish to receive our nourishment from, so that more can be free from the fear game of what could happen if there was no food. Right? You've heard of people asking themselves, what would happen? What would happen? Right? I remember I was doing Lyft back when I was a Lyft driver. And I was working Lyft. And I remember I was giving somebody a ride and they said, hey, you heard about that pepperoni shortage? I said, what are you talking about? They said, yeah, they say there's a pepperoni shortage right now. You ain't heard about it? You haven't heard about it? It was all over the news. I was like, what? I haven't watched the news in years. But they said there's a pepperoni shortage. And sure enough, I went to the H-E-B, the nearby grocery store. That day, the shelves in the frozen section were cleared off. People were panicking. People were going crazy over pepperoni pizza. Can you believe it? They were clearing it off the shelves, emptying the shelves because they thought that they weren't going to have any more pepperoni. They thought there weren't enough pepperonis to go around. There's a shortage. Did you hear? And through the game of telephone, they panicked. And they started buying them by the caseloads, buying 5 boxes, 10 boxes, pepperoni pizzas, taking it home to their kids. We need all we can get. We don't know if there will be any more. For pepperonis. Pepperoni pizzas. So if you can imagine that, right? The panic and the chaos from pepperonis on the Pranic path. You avoid all of that chaos, right? You have all that you need. So blessings to you, my friend. Much love. Much love. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. These have just been a few more readings as we've been proceeding with this Pranic feeding. And if you enjoyed this, we have a website for you. Check it out. It's called patreon.com/pranicpath. For all things Pranic living, the library that it's continually giving, where we are thriving, not just surviving, right? Wherever we go, we are always arriving. We don't have to be striving. We don't have to struggle. We don't have to wrestle. When we bring more prana inside the vessel, let it all nestle, my friend. Much love. And once again, that website for you, it's called patreon.com/pranicpath, with tons of audios, tons of videos, tons of books, just like this one, for your reading, your visual, and your auditory pleasure. It's always a treasure. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Keep the grateful, thankful spirit. May the rest of your life be the best of your life. My friend, this is Jerome Shaw, and much love.